Well, hello everyone. This is Pastor Wadlington, and greet you in the name of Christ Jesus, the Christ of Calvary, the one who does all things well. I wanted to tell you that I traveled to Oxford, Mississippi, to be a part of the annual Martin Luther King celebration and to also attend the funeral services of one of my ministers of music who helped in turning the culture of the Second Baptist Church around. And I, along with Duncan Gray III, the Right Reverend Duncan Gray, were the guest speakers, or were to be the guest speakers at their annual LOUD celebration. And after getting there, the Mayor Tannehill decided to cancel the event because of the growing number of COVID cases. I thought it would be good to share my thoughts on this national holiday, honoring the work of Dr. King, the late Dr. King. While Dr. King was an advocate for the poor, the disenfranchised, and for all citizens, regardless of their ethnicity, the theme I was given or asked the question, what does love have to do with it? And let me say without any hesitations or without any mental reservations, that love had everything to do with it. And while we celebrate King, there are so many others who put their lives on the line because they had love for humanity. When I think back to my teenage years, the Reverend Wayne Johnson of Oxford, Mississippi, a disciple of King, Nolia Banks, Nathan Hodges, Linda Bird of Taylor, Reverend Arthur Herod of Abbeville, Dr. Aaron Henry of Clarksdale, the president of the state NAACP, Medgar Evers of Jackson, and of course, we have to include John Lewis because he talked about it's all right to get in good trouble. I have to even mention the Dr. Tom Brown from Indianapolis, who came to the Mississippi Freedom Summers, and of course Rosa Parks and all of the others who were part of the movement to make sure that things were better for others because of their love for the brethren. A better way of life, the opportunity to vote, for the people of color. These men and women often went against those in power for the poor. We had to be trained. We had to be trained before we could participate in the movement. The Masonic Hall that was located on 9th Street in Oxford and the Masonic Lodge in Taylor became the training places. As a teenager, we had to be well trained before participating in the marches, how to maintain our temper, how to protect ourselves from the possibility of the billy clubs. And each NAACP chapter, each organization had its own sergeants and lieutenants so they could control hotheads like me. I remember going to my first voter registration march in West Point, Mississippi. We left Oxford in 3 cars, and when we got to Pontotoc County, we pulled off the side road, and we got in 3 other cars with Pontotoc County license tags. We got to Chickasaw County. That same procedure was followed. We got off the road, got into cars from Chickasaw County. And we did this all the way to West Point. When we got there, Dr. Aaron Henry convened all of us and gave us our instructions as people had come from all over the state. And when I think about it now, and people came because they had love for others. I didn't know then, but I know now. If we had not followed that procedure, we would have never made it from Oxford to West Point. We wouldn't have gotten there. If you heard of Dr. King, if you read of any of his letters from jail, you know he said that there are some things worth dying for. I was privileged to hear Dr. King speak in the Poor People's Campaign in Mississippi, in Grenada, Mississippi. My father had admonished us to not leave school and participate in the march. So being obedient, we did not leave school and participate in the march, but we went to Grenada that evening, that night. The clans were expected to be there the next day. We were not, Dr. King said, we're not going to wait until tomorrow. But organizers went from door to door getting people registered that night. He had made arrangements with the city clerks and had 2 stations where people were registered that night. And the next day when the clans showed up, people had already gotten themselves registered. These were the kind of strategies that were used in the movement to help make sure that people of color and people who were not able to just go in and vote like they register to vote like they should. Now, it was after Dr. King's death that a new courage filled our hearts. His death caused those of us in Oxford to integrate the restaurants that were in Oxford. No longer would we go to the back door and order. Each Sunday, we would meet on the town square, and we would designate a specific restaurant. We'd go in and sit down and have our orders placed. Now, there was only one restaurant in Oxford that resisted having us in the establishment. You could go in, you could sit down, nobody would bother you. You could sit there for 3 hours, but nobody would take your order. It took the North Mississippi Rural Legal Services to file a lawsuit against that restaurant, the Beacon Restaurant. And I never will forget, it was in 1972 that Judge William C. Cady, Chief Judge of the Northern District of Mississippi, ordered the Beacon to start serving people. Now, the Beacon has, I'm told, some great food, but I have not entered that establishment since I went in there with others and didn't get served. Listen, what I need to tell you is this. When I look at the efforts to destroy our democracy, the states like Mississippi and the many others that are diluting the rights of individuals to vote, I am reminded of what Chief Judge William Cady, as his health began to fail, he summons me to Greenville, Mississippi. And his words still echo in my ear. He said in our conversation, he said, "LeRoy, I won't be here to see it, but when the white male in America comes to the realization that they no longer will be a majority race, you're going to see something that is likened unto the Jim Crow era of the South, except it will be through state and government leaders." Oh, how accurate was this prophecy. What has love got to do with it? People, we've got to fight on and keep toiling. To the young people today, regardless of your political affiliation, love should make you do what is right to help preserve our great democracy. Love should allow you to have peaceful protests. Love should allow you to not storm our nation's capital in a form of insurrection. Why? Because love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast of its own. Love does not envy and envy itself. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. And love keeps no record of a wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in things that are true. It always protects. It always it trusts. It always hopes and always preserves. Love never fails. As we celebrate this great holiday honoring Dr. King and the countless others, men and women that have endured the retaliation and the physical suffering, the scorns of being called nigger and other derogatory names, what's love got to do with it? Only love would allow one to withstand those horrors. I pray we will never forget the struggles and that we will continue to keep fighting for freedom, equality, and the common welfare of all people. Yes, we must fight on. Yes, we can't just sit on the sidelines. Yes, we still must register and vote. Yes, we still got to stand in the line. Yes, we've got to play our part in this great democracy by participating. And so as we celebrate today, remember the struggles of those who have gone before us. And in many instances, it is time for others to pick up the mantle. So as we celebrate this great national holiday, I pray that we would get involved. I pray that we will do what we can to make sure that our democracy and our right to vote and our other social issues are addressed. And sometimes we got to do that by going against those who are in power. May God bless you. May He keep you. I hope that this national holiday would be something that would be meaningful. If it wasn't during the COVID, we would be doing some kind of projects that would, civic projects or local projects for the good of humanity. God bless you. Thank you so much. And remember, love never fails.